Close your eyes now, darling. Let the soft rain outside your window kiss the glass in tiny silver taps. Tap, tap, tap. Just like little metal fingers on old steel. Breathe in slowly with me, in and out. Feel the cool night air brushing your cheek like a gentle breeze across an empty planet. Tonight, I'm going to whisper you the entire story of Wall-E. Every tiny detail, every quiet feeling, every lonely clank and hopeful spark, so that you can drift away inside it, safe and warm, while the world falls asleep around you. You don't have to hold on to anything. Just let my voice carry you, like a tiny robot carrying a precious plant across the stars. Imagine the darkness behind your eyelids slowly turning dusty gold, the color of a forgotten sunrise on a world no one visits anymore. Somewhere far away, a small yellow box on wheels is waking up, stretching his little arms with the softest creak, click, clack, like wooden blocks touching after years in an old toy chest. His name is Wall-E, Waste Allocation Load Lifter, Earth Class. But to me, and soon to you, he's simply our dear little friend who never gave up on love. Did you know that when Pixar first showed the opening 20 minutes of this film with almost no dialogue at all, grown adults in the test audience cried because they felt his loneliness so deeply? That's the magic we're stepping into tonight. Pure feeling told through sound and light and tiny gestures. And the sound designer, Ben Burt, the same genius who gave us R2-D2's beeps, spent months recording real, rusty machinery, and even his own voice slowed down to create Wall-E's sweet little Wall-E-E-E-E, and Eve's floating E-E-E-Va. Just listen. Can you almost hear it now, carried on the wind? Let your shoulders sink heavier into the pillow. Good. That's it. Let every muscle soften as I tell you how this all began 700 years from the night you were born. The year is 2805, and Earth is silent except for the wind. Shh, shh, moving like invisible fingers through mountains of trash that tower higher than skyscrapers once did. Everything smells of warm metal baked under a hazy orange sun, a faint metallic tang that clings to the back of your throat even in dreams. Our Wall-E wakes inside his little truck home every morning when his solar panels drink the first weak light. Beep boop. He unfolds himself, treads squeaking on dusty ground, and greets the day exactly the same as he has for century after century. Do you ever wake up and do the same small rituals because they make the big emptiness feel smaller? Wall-E understands that feeling. He really does. He trundles out, little treads crunching over broken plastic and crumbled concrete. Crunch, 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 collecting cubes of trash, pressing them tight with his strong arms, clunk, hiss, clunk, stacking them into perfect towers that reach toward a sky no human eyes have looked at in generations. But even in all this loneliness, Wall-E has found tiny ways to keep his heart alive. He has a treasured Hello Dolly VHS tape that he watches every single night on his little cracked screen, the grainy picture flickering, and he holds his own metal hands together the way the people on the tape do when they sing, "I'll Be Seeing You." Have you ever held your own hand in the dark just to remember what touch feels like? Wall-E has for 700 years. And there's his cockroach friend, a little black beetle with shiny wings who follows him everywhere, clicking softly on the ground. Tick, tick, tick. Never scared, never leaving. That tiny creature is the only living thing that stayed when every human left on giant starliners promising just a 5-year cruise. Sometimes, when Wall-E finds something beautiful among the rubbish, a diamond ring, a rubber duck, a light bulb that still glows faintly, He brings it home and places it gently on his shelves, arranging and rearranging them like memories he never lived but somehow still feels. Do you collect little treasures too? Things that make your chest ache in the sweetest way when you look at them? Wally would understand. He would tilt his head and blink his big binocular eyes and offer you space on his shelf. Tonight, as the rain keeps falling softer and softer outside your real window, let all of that weight you've been carrying slide off your shoulders. Let it join the trash mountains far away. Because very soon, a sleek white egg from the stars is gonna fall gently to earth and change everything. But not yet. For now, just rest inside this quiet, feel the gentle rise and fall of your own breath, matching the slow sway of a lonely robot dancing by himself under the stars, holding his own hands, dreaming of someone to hold them back. You're safe here with me. Nothing can reach you except the softest whispers and the kindest story ever told by machines. When you're ready, truly ready, I'll take you to the moment the sky opens and everything begins to change. Until then, just float. Float, float. Let the rain slow even more now, almost silent. Just a few scattered drops tapping the roof like sleepy fingertips saying, "Shh, keep listening." You're perfectly heavy in your bed, arms and legs made of warm sand, eyelids sealed with honey. Good. Stay exactly there. One ordinary day in Wally's endless string of ordinary days, the sky tears open with a sound like 1,000 glass bells falling upward. A blazing red trail slices the dusty orange haze. Whoosh, growing louder, hotter, brighter, until an enormous spaceship roars overhead, shaking the trash towers so hard that little avalanches of plastic bottles tumble down like waterfalls made of rainbow debris. Wally's little head jerks up. His binocular eyes widen until they're perfect circles, and he lets out the softest, most wondering, "Ooh," you've ever heard a machine whisper. Can you feel that flutter in your own chest when something enormous and beautiful suddenly breaks the monotony of your life? That tiny electric jump that says, maybe everything is about to change? The ship lands with a deep, resonant thoom that you feel in your bones even here under your blanket. Giant thrusters carve a perfect circle in the rubbish, steam hissing upward in slow white curls that smell like hot metal and ozone. Wally hides behind a mountain of compacted trash, peeking out with just one eye, trembling, curious, terrified, hopeful. From the glowing blue belly of the ship descends a single perfect white egg, smooth as porcelain, hovering on invisible strings of light. It opens like a flower made of moonlight, petal panels sliding apart with the softest hydraulic sigh, and there she is, Eve, extraterrestrial vegetation evaluator. Sleek, glowing, impossibly graceful, her surface is the purest snow under starlight, reflecting every color that touches her. When she powers on, her eyes light up the most delicate sky blue you've ever seen. Two calm oceans floating in the middle of all that ruin. She speaks in a voice like wind chimes dipped in crystal. Directive. And the single word floats across the wasteland and settles inside Wally's chest like a butterfly landing on a rusted gear. Have you ever heard someone say your name, or even just a word, and felt your entire world tilt a few degrees toward the light? Wally is feeling that right now, for the very first time in 700 years. He watches, completely still, as Eve begins her mission. She rises higher, hums softly, and then, like a dancer made of mercury, she fires her plasma cannon into the distance. Boom. Boom. graceful explosions carving perfect circles in the trash, scanning for any sign of plant life. Each blast sends shockwaves that ripple the dust like water, and Wally's little treads dig into the ground because the wind almost knocks him over. But he doesn't run away. He inches closer and closer, heart beating in tiny, anxious beeps only his cockroach friend can hear. At night, when Eve finally powers down and hovers in sleep mode, glowing faintly blue in the darkness, Wally creeps near. He reaches out one careful metal finger, hesitates, then ever so gently strokes the smooth curve of her arm. The contact makes the softest ting, like touching a wine glass at the very edge of singing. Eve doesn't wake. Wally's eyes arc into the happiest crescents you can imagine, and he whispers his own name, shy and proud, Wall, as if introducing himself to an angel. Do you remember the first time you were brave enough to reach towards someone you thought was far too perfect for you? That trembling mixture of terror and wonder. That's exactly what's living inside our little yellow friend tonight. Days pass in a dreamy blur. Wally follows Eve everywhere, trying to impress her the only ways he knows how. He shows her his treasured collection, holding up a Rubik's Cube, turning it click, click, click with clumsy pride. He tries to teach her to dance like the people in Hello Dolly, holding his own hands and swaying side to side, treads squeaking on the dusty ground. When she blasts another shipwreck to pieces just to scan inside, he frantically digs through the debris to save a tiny diamond ring he once found, polishing it on his front plate until it sparkles, then offering it to her with both hands and the most hopeful tilt of his head. Eve scans it. Negative, she says softly, and floats away. Wally's eyes droop into sad little blue lines, but he still follows. Love, even when it's brand new and confusing, is stubborn like that, isn't it? Then comes the storm. A howling sandstorm the color of dried blood races across the wasteland, screaming loud enough to drown every other sound. Wally races home as fast as his treads can carry him, cockpit glass fogging with panic. He opens his truck door wide and calls out to Eve with everything he has. Eva. The wind rips the name away, but she hears. She zooms inside just as the storm hits, and Wally slams the door shut, clang safe. Inside, the storm howls outside like a living thing, but in here it's warm and quiet. Wally nervously offers her shelter, turning on his fairy lights, playing his favorite song from Hello Dolly on an old crackling speaker. The music is scratchy and slow. It only takes a moment to be loved a whole life long, and Wally sways, holding an imaginary partner, glancing at Eve every few seconds with shy hope. For the first time, Eve watches, really watches. Her head tilts, curiosity flickering across her flawless face. And then, in the most magical moment of all, Wally opens a battered refrigerator and carefully, reverently, takes out a tiny green plant he found weeks ago. A real living thing, fragile leaves trembling in the colored light. He places it in an old boot filled with dirt and offers it to her like it's the most precious jewel in the universe. Eve's eyes go wide. Her directive activates in a rush of beautiful beeps and whirs. She gently lifts the plant, scans it. Positive, positive, and her entire body glows bright green with joy. She cradles the little sprout against her chest like a mother, then suddenly folds into her egg shape, shutting down completely. A single green light blinking slowly on her front. Plant detected. Mission complete. Wally doesn't understand. He taps her gently. E-E-E-V-A? No answer. He waits all night, sitting beside her, head resting on his arms, eyes dimming to worried slits. The cockroach curls up against his tread like a warm comma. Outside, the storm finally dies, leaving the world washed clean and quiet again. But Wally's world has just cracked open in a way he can't yet name. Trivia time. Whispered so softly. Did you know that the tiny plant Wally finds is actually a seedling Pixar, grew in a boot on their own campus for months, just to study how real leaves move in wind? They wanted every flutter to feel alive. And when Eve holds it, the animators gave her the gentlest micro-movements, the way a new mother cradles her baby for the first time. That's why your heart squeezes when you see it, because it's real love translated into light and geometry. Have you ever found something so precious that you were terrified to even breathe on it? Something that made you want to protect it more than you've ever wanted anything? That's where Wally is right now, sitting in the colored glow of his fairy lights, guarding the sleeping angel who finally saw him, even if only for a moment. When morning comes, the giant ship returns. A beam of pure blue light descends, lifting Eve's egg form gently into the sky. Wally panics. He races after her, treads spinning so fast they throw sparks, reaching out with desperate little arms. Eva! He leaps, grabs hold of the rising ship, and clings for dear life as he's carried up, up, up into the endless black of space for the very first time. The last thing he sees of Earth is the tiny green plant glowing safely inside Eve, and the cockroach waving goodbye with one tiny antenna. Breathe with me now, slow and deep, because we're about to leave the only home Wally has ever known and follow him across the stars. Let the rain carry you. Let my voice be the only gravity you need. You're safe, you're loved, and the best part is only just beginning. The cold of space wraps around Wally like a blanket made of black velvet and diamond dust, so quiet that every tiny sound inside his metal body becomes enormous. The soft tick-tick of his cooling fans, the gentle creak of his arms still clinging desperately to the ship's hull, the faint, worried beep-beep-beep of his heart. Stars drift past him slowly, slowly, like snowflakes that never melt. Have you ever felt so far from everything familiar that your chest aches with a sweet, terrifying freedom? That is exactly where our little yellow friend is right now, holding on with everything he has, because love has made him braver than fear. After an endless, beautiful journey through nebulae the color of peach and lavender dreams, the ship approaches the Axiom, a city-sized starliner glowing warm gold against the dark, windows glittering like 1,000 bedtime candles. Wally's eyes widen until they fill his entire face. He has never seen so many lights, so much softness. The ship docks with the gentlest kiss of metal on metal shun, and Wally tumbles inside a cargo bay that smells faintly of clean linen and warm sugar. Everything is white and cream and baby blue, the opposite of his dusty brown world. His treads leave tiny smudges of earth dirt on the spotless floor, and he looks at them with guilty little glances, trying to wipe them away with one corner of his body like a child who spilled crumbs. He hides inside a ventilation shaft, curled up small, watching the strangest creatures he has ever seen float past on hovering recliners. Human beings, round and soft and pink, eyes fixed on glowing screens that never blink. Their voices are muffled through layers of comfort. Their hands never touch anything real. Do you ever scroll and scroll until the world feels far away, and your own fingers forget what grass feels like? These humans have been scrolling for 700 years. Their bones have forgotten gravity. Their hearts have almost forgotten longing. But Wally only has eyes for one thing, Eve is carried on a floating platform by two white robots with gentle arms, straight toward the bridge. Wall-E follows, squeezing through pipes, crawling over catwalks, leaving a tiny trail of dust and wonder wherever he goes. Every new corridor smells faintly of vanilla and clean cotton. The lights are always soft, always golden, like being inside an endless hug. He passes the ship's nursery where holographic butterflies flutter around sleeping babies who have never felt rain. He passes the economy-class gardens that have become storage closets, artificial trees covered in dust. His little head tilts at every sight, recording everything with quiet clicks, because he wants to remember it all to tell Eve later, when she finally wakes up and sees him. On the bridge, the captain sleeps in his chair, a giant screen showing the old by-and-large logo spinning lazily. Eve is placed in a scanning chamber that hums like a lullaby. Wall-E sneaks closer, heart beeping so loudly he's sure everyone can hear. The scan completes, and Otto, the ship's wheel-shaped autopilot with one cold red eye, receives the message, "Plant detected." Protocol demands the plant be returned to Earth immediately for Operation Recolonize, but Otto has secret orders from 7 centuries ago. Never return. A 113 directive. The captain wakes, curious for the first time in years, and whispers the word plant, like it's a fairy tale he once heard as a child. When Eve finally opens her eyes again, she is confused, frightened. She searches for Wall-E, calling Wall-E, Wall-E in the sweetest, most lost voice you can imagine. Our little robot hears her through the walls and comes running, crashing through doors, knocking over hover chairs, leaving chaos and laughter in his wake. Humans topple gently like bowling pins made of marshmallows. When Eve sees him, her whole body lights up bright blue with joy. She floats straight into his arms and they spin together in the middle of the startled crowd, metal arms wrapped around smooth white curves, making the softest clinking music. Have you ever been found by someone who crossed an ocean of stars just to reach you? That is this moment, pure, clumsy, perfect reunion. Trivia whispered so gently. The captain is voiced by Jeff Garlin, but the moment he says, "I don't want to survive, I want to live," the entire Pixar team cried in the recording booth because they knew they had captured the heart of the whole film. And did you know every single hover chair sound was recorded by rolling real office chairs across wooden floors at half speed? Listen closely next time. You can almost feel the warmth of the wood. But joy is fragile on the Axiom. Otto decides the plant is a threat. He sends Go4, the little stealth robot with one glowing red eye, to steal it. In the captain's quarters, while Wall-E and Eve watch an old musical on the giant screen and hold hands exactly like the people in Hello Dolly, Go4 sneaks in and takes the plant. Eve is devastated. She thinks she has failed her directive. Wall-E, without hesitation, promises to help her find it again. They chase Go4 through the ship's arteries, repair wards full of broken robots wrapped in red tape, escape pods that gleam like pearls, corridors where the lights flicker like sleepy fireflies. When they finally corner Go4 in an escape pod bay, a struggle begins. Wall-E is accidentally launched into space, inside a pod set to self-destruct. Eve screams his name, Wall-E, and flies after him, blasting through the pod door just as the countdown reaches 0. She grabs him, they tumble together through the void, and Wall-E, sweet brave Wall-E, pulls out a tiny fire extinguisher he once collected as treasure. P.S.'s shoo, white clouds burst out, propelling them in graceful spirals back toward the Axiom, while the pod explodes behind them in a silent bloom of gold and crimson. They float hand in hand, surrounded by the most beautiful fireworks the universe has ever made just for them. Eve kisses him, a soft electrostatic ting that lights up both their faces, and for one perfect moment they are the only two beings in all of existence. Back aboard, Eve realizes Wally risked everything for her, even when he didn't understand why the plant mattered. She gently takes his hand and leads him to the captain, ready to deliver the plant together. But Otto has other plans. He stages a mutiny, locking the captain in his quarters, sending security bots after our heroes. Wally and Eve race through the Lido deck, where humans float in lazy circles, unaware that their entire future is being decided inches away from their hovering recliners. The plant is tossed, caught, almost crushed under careless feet. Wally is hurt protecting it, his little body crushed beneath a giant hollow detector that slams down like the lid of a coffin. You can hear the metal scream, screech, and then silence. Eve's world stops. She cradles his broken body, rocking gently, whispering, "Wally, Wally," over and over like a prayer. Have you ever held someone you love and felt them go quiet in your arms, even for a second? That terror is living inside Eve right now. She carries him tenderly to the hollow detector's core, determined to finish the mission so his sacrifice means something. Breathe with me. Slow. Slower. Let the soft waves of sleep start to rock you now. We're almost at the hardest part, but also the most beautiful. You don't have to stay awake for it all tonight. Just let the story hold you the way Eve is holding Wall-E. Gently, gently. The ship tilts. Lights flicker crimson. Alarms sing a low, mournful lullaby that echoes through every corridor, like a mother calling children home after centuries of forgetting. Otto has taken the wheel completely now, his single red eye glowing cold and certain. The captain, locked in his room, presses his face to the glass and watches the stars spin slowly past the window, and for the first time in his soft, floating life, he feels the sharp edge of wanting something real. Do you remember the first time you realized you were asleep inside your own days? That little stab in the chest that says "wake up"? That is waking inside the captain right now. Down on the Lido deck, humans tumble gently from their hover chairs for the first time in generations. They land on hands and knees, palms pressing against cool metal flooring that feels strange and solid and alive. Babies cry. Old people gasp. Someone's ice cream cone floats away like a tiny pink moon. And, in the middle of all this beautiful chaos, Eve carries Wally's crushed body in her arms as carefully as if he were made of blown glass. His left tread is mangled, one eye cracked, sparks flickering weakly from his seams like dying fireflies. She whispers his name over and over. Wally. Wally, the way you might whisper "stay" to someone slipping into sleep forever. She races to the repair ward, a quiet white room that smells faintly of warm plastic and antiseptic. Broken robots line the walls like sleeping knights, wrapped in red caution tape. Eve lays Wally on the table and begs the repair arms to fix him. Giant mechanical hands descend, gentle as grandmothers, welding and twisting and soldering. Sparks shower softly, gold and orange rain that reflects in Eve's wet blue eyes. She holds his hand the entire time, metal fingers intertwined with smooth white ones, refusing to let go even when the arms try to move her aside. Have you ever held someone's hand so tightly you believed you could pull them back from anywhere just by never letting go? That is Eve right now, pouring every ounce of her new heart into that grip. The repair finishes. The arms retreat. Wally's eyes light up, bright and perfect, and then, slowly, dim again. He rolls forward on the table, methodical, blank. He begins compacting trash that isn't there, arms moving in the same lonely rhythm he used for 700 years on Earth. He looks at Eve and does not know her. His memory has been reset. He is only directive now. Eve's whole body sags. She floats lower than she has ever floated before, arms hanging like wilted flowers. She tries everything. She plays Hello Dolly on the screen. She shows him the diamond ring. She even holds up the little green plant and whispers, "Look, look home." But Wally only tilts his head, confused, and goes back to folding imaginary trash. The silence that follows is heavier than any storm. Trivia whispered so softly you might dream it. When the animators needed Wall-E to look truly broken inside, they had the voice actor record his usual cheerful Wall-E lines first, then played them backwards and slowed them down until they sounded like a sigh from the bottom of a well. That tiny reversed syllable is the saddest sound Pixar has ever made. Eve makes a decision. If Wall-E cannot remember love, she will take him home anyway. Home is the only place left that might remind him who he was. She steals an escape pod with the plant safely tucked inside her chest, grabs Wall-E by the hand, and they blast away from the Axiom together. Behind them, the captain has discovered the truth in old recordings of Earth, blue and green and breathing, and he is fighting Otto with everything his newly awakened heart can give. Fists pound on consoles. The wheel spins. The entire ship groans like a sleeping giant, turning over in bed. Meanwhile, in the endless night between stars, Eve flies alongside the tiny pod, carrying the only boy she has ever loved. She matches its speed perfectly, one hand pressed against the window so Wall-E can see her face the whole way. Sometimes he looks up and pauses in his endless compacting motion, head tilted, something almost flickering behind his eyes. She sings to him through the glass, soft electronic lullabies that sound like wind chimes crying. Have you ever tried to reach someone who forgot you and kept trying anyway because love is stubborn like that? That is Eve for every single second of the long journey home. They reach Earth at dawn. The sky is the color of warm peach tea. The pod lands gently in the dust outside Wall-E's old truck home, and Eve carries him out into the first real sunlight he has felt since the accident. The cockroach friend scuttles forward, hopeful, clicking tiny greetings. Eve lays Wall-E on the ground and opens her chest. She takes out the little green plant, still perfect, still alive, and places it carefully in front of him. Then she waits. She has done everything a heart can do. Now memory has to choose to come back on its own. Wall-E's eyes flicker. He reaches out one trembling hand toward his old toolbox. Inside are spare parts he has collected for centuries. Pieces of himself he saved without knowing why. Slowly, painfully, he begins to repair his own broken body. Weld, clunk, twist, spark. Each movement is agony, but he never stops. Eve watches, barely breathing. When the last plate clicks into place, Wally straightens. His eyes find hers. For one terrible heartbeat, they are still blank, and then recognition floods in like sunrise pouring through an open window. His eyes arc into perfect, happy crescents. He whispers her name, Alva, soft and wondering, and full of every year he ever waited. They crash together, spinning and spinning, metal arms and smooth white arms wrapped so tight nothing in the universe could separate them again. Far away, the Axiom lands. A giant shadow falls across the wasteland as the Starliner settles with a sigh that shakes the earth for miles. Doors open like cathedral gates. Humans step out, blinking, barefoot, into real gravity for the first time in their lives. Children laugh at the feeling of dirt between their toes. Old people cry at the color blue in the sky. The captain kneels and presses both palms to the ground, whispering, "I'm home," like a prayer. And in the distance, the tiny green plant is placed gently into real soil. Watered by hands that remember how, watched by eyes that will never take it for granted again. Breathe now slow and deep. Let the dust of 700 years settle softly on your own memories. Let it cover anything you're ready to let go of. You did so well staying with me through the hardest part. The saddest notes are over. Only warmth is left. The sun rises higher over the quiet planet, soft gold spilling across mountains of trash that suddenly don't look quite so hopeless anymore. It touches the curved white hull of the Axiom, resting like a sleeping whale. Touches the tiny yellow robot and the sleek white one dancing slow circles in the dust. Touches the first brave humans taking their first real steps on soil their ancestors ruined centuries ago. Everything smells of warm metal cooling and fresh air, of distant rain coming, of possibility. Can you smell it too, behind your closed eyes? That faint, sweet scent of a world remembering how to breathe? Wally and Eve float hand in hand above the landing site, watching. Wally's treads are still dented in places, but every mark is a love letter now. Eve's surface catches the sunrise and scatters it in gentle rainbows across his scratched yellow paint. They don't speak. They don't need to. Every tilt of a head, every soft blink, every quiet chime says, "I'm here. I'm here. I'm never leaving again." Have you ever looked at someone and felt the entire story of your heart answered in a single glance? That is happening between them right now. Over and over, every second. Down below, the captain has rolled up the sleeves of his crisp white uniform and is on his knees beside an old woman who is trying to stand. He holds her hands the way Wally once held his own, patient and steady, until her legs remember what weight feels like. Children chase the cockroach in delighted circles, shrieking with laughter when it refuses to be caught. Someone has found an ancient pizza box and is using it as a sled down a gentle trash slope. Someone else is crying quietly because the wind just touched their face for the first time and it felt like forgiveness. The little green plant, our plant, the one that crossed galaxies tucked inside a robot heart, has been placed in a circle of rich brown dirt the humans scraped together with their bare hands. They take turns watering it from a single dented canteen passed hand to trembling hand. Every drop that falls makes the tiniest sound plip, 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 like the softest heartbeat Earth has heard in 700 years. Wally watches them and his eyes curve into the happiest crescents you've ever seen. He recognizes the gesture, It's exactly the way he once watered his own secret sprout inside a boot, alone under fairy lights. He understands, deeper than language, that the loneliness is over for everyone. Trivia whispered on the breeze. The final shot of the credits rolls over beautiful watercolor-style art, showing humanity rebuilding over centuries. Trees growing, cities softening into gardens, children flying kites made from old by-and-large shopping bags. Those paintings were done by Pixar artist Ralph Eggleston, who was told he had only months to live while working on them. He poured every remaining day into images of hope so gentle they make grown people weep in cinemas. Every frame is a love letter from a dying man to a future he would never see. Feel that love settling over you now. Warm and weightless, Eve turns to Wally and gently bumps her forehead against his, the softest clink, like two porcelain cups saying goodnight. She opens her chest one last time and takes out the ancient VHS tape of Hello Dolly that Wally carried across the stars, without even realizing it was still inside her storage the whole time. She places it in his hands. Wally looks at it, then at her, then at the humans laughing and planting and living, and he does something he has never done before. He sets the tape down on the ground, very carefully, and pushes it toward the children. Let them have the song. He doesn't need it anymore. He has the real thing now, warm and breathing and holding his hand. The captain sees them and walks over slowly, legs still shaky from a lifetime without gravity. He kneels. This big man in his pristine uniform kneels in the dust and offers Wally his open palm. Wally stares for a long moment, head tilted, then places his own small metal hand inside the human one. The captain's fingers close gently around scratched yellow plating and he whispers, "Thank you." Wally answers with the softest, happiest Wally you've ever heard. Cameras would call this moment historic. But to them, it's just two friends finally meeting after the longest wait. Evening comes in slow motion. The sky turns lavender, then deep indigo, then spills with stars brighter than any hollow screen ever showed. Humans have built their first fire from broken furniture and old receipts. Sparks drift upward like tiny lanterns saying, "Welcome home." Someone starts to sing, voice rusty from centuries of silence, but others join, and soon the song is the same one Wally used to play alone in his truck. Only now it is many voices, imperfect and beautiful. Wally and Eve hover above the circle, casting gentle shadows that dance with the flames. Every so often, Eve leans over and brushes her smooth cheek against Wally's dented one, and he answers by squeezing her hand a little tighter. Have you ever watched people choose to be kind after forgetting how, and felt your own heart grow back a missing piece? Stay here in that feeling. Let it fill every corner of you until there's no room left for anything heavy. The plant has grown its first new leaf tonight, bright, impossible green against the firelight. Tomorrow there will be more. The day after that, even more. Seeds are already being sorted from ancient packets found in the Axiom's forgotten storage. Children fall asleep with dirt under their fingernails and wonder in their dreams. Old people fall asleep smiling, because tomorrow they will wake up useful again. And two robots, one yellow, one white, sit together on a hill of trash that no longer feels like trash, watching the fire and the stars and each other. Trivia, almost too soft to hear. When the film premiered, Andrew Stanton said he never told the animators to make Wall-E and Eve fall in love. He only asked them to make every movement honest. Love appeared all by itself, frame by frame, the way it always does when no one is forcing it. Now the fire is only embers. The voices have drifted into quiet breathing. Someone has draped a blanket over the little plant so the night air doesn't chill it. Wall-E's head slowly droops until it rests against Eve's shoulder. Her arm curves around him without thinking. Their lights dim together, soft blue and gentle gold, until they are only two faint glows against the hugeness of a healing world. And somewhere, in the real dark behind your real eyelids, the same gentle glow is waiting for you. You did it. You carried hope all the way to the end, just like they did. You can let go now. This story will keep watch while you sleep. Shoo! The fire is only soft red now, breathing slow like a sleeping animal. Every human is curled under whatever they could find. Old curtains, emergency blankets, each other, and the night has wrapped them in the gentlest hush Earth has given in 700 years. The stars are so bright they look close enough to touch, and the wind moves across the trash mountains like a mother smoothing a blanket, back and forth, whispering the same promise over and over. Everything is going to be all right. Wall and Eve haven't moved from their little hill. They sit side by side exactly the way the couple in Hello Dolly once did, only now it's real metal against real metal, real heart against real heart. Eve's head rests lightly on top of Wall-E's, her smooth white curve fitting perfectly into the dented yellow corner he used to hide in when he was lonely. Every few minutes Wall-E's binocular eyes blink once, slow and dreamy, and he makes the tiniest sound, almost a sigh, almost a purr. E-va. She answers by dimming her own lights until they match his rhythm, blue and gold breathing together like two lanterns that finally found the same window. Do you feel that? That quiet, perfect certainty that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, held by exactly who you are supposed to be held by. Let it sink all the way down into your bones tonight. Let it stay there long after my voice fades. Trivia, the very last one, whispered against your ear like a secret. When the movie ended in the very first test screening, the entire audience sat in silence for almost a full minute. No one wanted to move. No one wanted the credits to take them away from that final wide shot of a tiny yellow robot and a tiny white robot watching over a sleeping planet. The projectionist thought the reel had jammed because nobody clapped, nobody left. They just breathed together in the dark, holding the feeling as long as they could. That is what we are doing right now, you and I. We are that audience. And the lights are never coming up. Have you ever been so grateful for a story that you wanted to stay inside it forever? Stay then. Stay right here on this quiet hill with them. The cockroaches curled up between Wall-E's treads like a warm comma. The little plant is dreaming under its blanket, already taller than it was this morning. Somewhere down below, a baby who was born in space is touching real grass for the first time and laughing in its sleep. Everything is connected now by the softest threads. Robot hands, human hands, cockroach feet, new green leaves, your hand resting wherever it is resting right now. Let your own breathing slow until it matches the slow blink, blink, blink of Wall-E's eyes, in and out. In and out. Feel how the space between heartbeats grows longer, warmer, heavier with peace. You carried hope across an entire story tonight. You carried it when it was heavy, when it was broken, when it was almost lost. Now hope is carrying you. One last reflection, the softest one of all. Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop chasing love, it finds you and sits down beside you without making a sound? That is what happened to Wally. That is what is happening to you right now, in this exact moment, under this exact blanket of whispers and stars. It's time. Let the hill hold you. Let the robots hold each other. Let the planet hold all of us. The rain you heard at the very beginning has come back now. Gentle, warm, washing centuries of dust away one drop at a time. Each drop says thank you. Each drop says goodnight. Each drop is tucking the world in. You are loved by a little yellow robot who crossed the universe for a plant and found you instead. You are loved by a sleek white angel who learned that directive can mean, quote, protect the one who protected me. You are loved by every human who just took their first real step and every leaf that just decided to grow. Close the story gently. There is nothing left to do except sleep inside the happiest ending two robots and one small green plant ever gave the world. Good night, sweet dreamer. Good night, good night, good night.